You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. An Israeli airstrike hits the largest refugee camp in Gaza as Israel warns of a prolonged war with Hamas. The strike on the Jabalia refugee camp killed a large number of people and left catastrophic damage, according to eyewitnesses and medics in the enclave. The Israeli Defense Forces defended the Israeli military, saying they struck the camp to kill a top Hamas leader. Our source today is Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega. Sir, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Magandang umaga.
Now, sir, first we'd like to get an update on the I believe it is two remaining missing Filipinos in Israel. Do you have any updates regarding that? What do we know so far?
Well, sadly, I don't have any updates other than the fact that they're still missing. We are still operating under the assumption that they have been taken hostage by the Hamas, although that is not 100% confirmed. Now, nobody wants our citizens to be hostage, but the alternate would be worse, which is that they are among the dead, still to be identified. There are still over 200 bodies in Israel, still to be identified, no? People killed during the October 7 initial attack. The Israelis have the DNA of relatives of the two missing persons, and well, let's hope that they are not confirmed among the dead. So, as far as the Philippines is concerned, we're operating under the assumption, but not confirmed, that they are currently being held hostage.
Right. So there is hope that they are still alive. Have you received any updates from the Israeli government, any information or intelligence about what may have happened to them at all?
No, they only say, and this was confirmed by the Israeli ambassador a few days ago, that they are considered to be likely having been kidnapped. So likely is the word, not 100%. After all, Hamas has certainly not contacted us, and there's no absolute confirmation. If you remember, years ago in Iraq, in 2004, when there were terrorists kidnapping citizens of foreign countries which had maintained military contingents in Iraq after the U.S. invasion, in support of the U.S. invasion. Among those kidnapped was a Filipino truck driver whom we rescued, Angelo de la Cruz, or whom we were able to bring home. This time, there's no such thing. So we don't know the kind of contacts that the Israelis are holding with Hamas, if any, other than the fact that the Israelis are saying that they know they're hostages and that they're going to rescue them. So we hope that the Filipinos as well.
All right, sir. How are you presently able to coordinate with the families of these missing Filipinos?
Well, I have right now a very recent report from our embassy in Amman, Jordan, which is holding jurisdiction over the Palestinian territories, including Gaza. Well, coordination is difficult because after Friday, telecommunications have been down. So in other words, on Friday, we lost communication with every single one of the 136 Filipino nationals whom we know are in Gaza. However, starting on Sunday morning, little by little, we started getting contact again, being able to contact them again, except that communications are limited only to a few hours a day. Out of the 136, 126 have been accounted for as safe and uninjured. But there are still 10, consisting of one family, who are still unreachable. We hope, though, that they'll be reached within the day because, after all, every day the embassy has been able to contact more. Now, the problem for them is that while they do have food, it's not unlimited. The supplies are not unlimited. There's difficulty in securing potable water. Of course, there are medicines through the local humanitarian agencies. But that's why we certainly hope that the opening of the crossing, the border crossing, will be soon.
Right.
So
So
that
these
our kababayans
Filipinos
who want
that
to cross
you're
over to
talking
Egypt will be
about,
able to
sir,
cross.
to clarify, these 136, these are Filipino citizens in Gaza.
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
sir.
they are mostly safer ground, no? Except for 9 who are actually in Gaza City, which is the site of the Israeli attacks.
Right, sir. But as far as we know, there were no Filipino casualties or injuries from that latest strike on that refugee camp.
As far as we know, none. None as of the moment, none as I speak.
Right.
And we hope there are none.
Now, in Israel, how many Filipinos there are requesting repatriation?
We have already repatriated, as you know, over 120. There's still about 143 requesting repatriation. This is according to the figures of our migrant workers office there, under the DMW and OWA, who are working on the repatriation. So over 140, and the numbers vary by the day. There will be another batch coming this week, possibly on the 6th, and we could get final confirmation of numbers from OIC Hans Kapdak. They will be repatriated continuously.
All right, so still 143 asking to come home. Now, regarding the Filipinos in Gaza City, you're saying there's at least 9 of them there, but all other Filipinos are at least on safer ground, or as safe as ground can be in the Gaza Strip. Is that right?
Yes, of course. Actually, no place in Gaza is safe, and that's why we have ordered mandatory repatriation under Level 4. But the actual physical, actual violence, actual attacks, these images we see, sad images of civilians being killed, are occurring in Gaza City, where our 9 citizens are, including a Filipino nun of the Missionaries of Charity, and a family of 6 who were already in the south and decided to return to Gaza City because they couldn't wait to cross, because they couldn't wait any longer. Space is difficult because the majority of the population in Gaza was always in the north. And those who went for the south are hoping to cross, but food there and living quarters are less available. But we hope that the 9 are safe. They are safe, but we hope no other of the Filipinos in the south will go to Gaza City. As you know, the situation is untenable.
Right. So, as you said, they are waiting to get out. Tell us more about the situation in the Rafah border crossing. How many Filipinos do we have there waiting to cross? And are there any updates, again, regarding when that option for them to leave might reopen?
Yes, there were, several days ago, there were up to 78, as you remember, who were in the Rafah crossing. Now there are 57. So the others went for other places in the south. The 57 are just ready to cross, and I think you're seeing images right now of people in the crossing hoping to cross. The word is that the Egyptians are ready to accept wounded or injured Palestinians. And we trust that foreign nationals are to follow. Our ambassador in Cairo, President Tago, is working on it right now. Of course, there's a time difference, so hopefully, though, and I won't guarantee it because this is up to the Egyptian authorities, hopefully, today's Wednesday, hopefully we'll start getting our kababayans to cross by the weekend, but it's up to Egypt. But latest developments are encouraging. Latest word is encouraging.
All right. Usec, can you tell us a little bit about what it is like to get aid into Gaza? Are you able to extend any kind of aid at all to our kababayans there? What is that process like, if it's even possible?
Unfortunately, not possible, although we're working with the OCHA, the UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Assistance. They are able to distribute medicines, including to our kababayans. Problem is food. Food is not reaching everybody. Our kababayans have food, and they get donations. They are very resilient. They know, except supplies are not unlimited. There are humanitarian aid trucks coming in, but not enough. So the situation is actually critical. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to give you great reassurances that our kababayans are in great shape. No, and I salute them for their resilience and for bearing up under such difficult conditions. They're not dying of hunger, but there's food, but it's not a lot.
Right.
And water, of course, not just for Filipinos, but for all residents in Palestine, the Palestinian territory of Gaza. It's difficult because talking about potable water, and there's less of it. Nevertheless, the international agencies are on the ground doing what they can, and we're working through them as well.
What about their access to facilities for hygiene? Are any of them also getting sick, catching any kind of diseases, given the conditions there?
So far, no. You must understand, though, while they're not in the desert, the border crossing, north, southern Gaza, are not places like the Sudan and Egypt crossing of months ago, where it was just in the middle of the desert. There is infrastructure there, but space is very limited. So you have the scenario of many Filipinos staying, for example, together in a small space, within a small space. But they are not complaining of hygiene right now. They are not saying there's no place for their daily needs. What they just want to happen is to cross. And we hope that it will happen.
All right. Sir, we need to
In
take
fact,
a...
by the way, the Egyptian ambassador has always promised to work on that, so we thank him as well.
All right. With that, we need to take a short break, sir. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat Trillo. Let's go back to our source today, Foreign Affairs Under Secretary Eduardo de Vega. Sir, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. Morning.
Now, sir, I'd like to talk about the West Bank. Can you update us on what the condition is there now and what do we know of the Filipinos who are located there?
Well, the condition of the Filipinos in the West Bank, is far better than that in Gaza because although there are some acts of violence happening there, it's not under siege. No? There are 126 Filipinos in the West Bank. I'm looking at statistics. All of whom are resident Filipinos. There are 26 who are OFWs. 4 of whom have indicated their request to be repatriated. The only question is to get the necessary permits. So our embassy is working on that. To repatriate Filipinos from Jordan, from the West Bank, will be through Jordan. They do not need to cross into Israel. So we're working on that. So right now, the situation is far, far safer than the situation in the West Bank. But we are also reminding our kababayans that if they want to avail themselves of the repatriation program, there is the repatriation program. So
Right.
One more clarification I'd like to make. We do have a lot of citizens, a number of citizens in the West Bank and Gaza. Remember, a lot of them are Palestinian Filipinos, or descendants of the original Filipino citizen, original Filipino mother who married a Palestinian spouse, no? Married
Right.
a Palestinian man and had descendants who are the Filipino citizens. So when they start coming home, hopefully, when they start coming to the Philippines, remember, a lot of them will actually be of Palestinian ethnicity, but they are Philippine nationals. Dual Filipino citizens under our laws in the
Right.
Constitution. So that would explain, the reason I mentioned that is that would explain why they mostly want to stay. The West Bank, where there's no actual war going on, only 4 have asked to stay, whereas even in Gaza, at most maybe 80 have indicated, 78 have indicated that they definitely want to leave Gaza, which means a lot will still remain no matter what, because this is a fact of life, a sad fact of life that they've been accustomed to. Yung mga kababayan natin dyan sa Israel, West Bank, Gaza, Southern Lebanon, they are aware of this and they're saying, well, this is something we live with.
Right.
So that should explain why there are not a lot leaving their country.
All right, moving a little northwards now, I want to talk about Lebanon. Tell us, sir, about the status of Filipinos there as tensions seem to be brewing.
Yes, there is voluntary repatriation right now undergoing in Lebanon. The issue, though, is that of the 17,000 Filipinos who are in Lebanon, 17,500, about 10,000 are undocumented, meaning to say they don't have working papers, but they arrived in Lebanon as tourists or arrived through third countries, such as other countries in the region or in the Gulf. And therefore, it's more complicated for them to go home. One, because obviously there's no guarantee they will return. In fact, Lebanon, before this crisis, was under alert level 2, meaning we would not allow new Filipinos to be deployed there. The only Filipinos who could work there or return there from the Philippines would be those already fully registered and documented. So that explains why among the Filipinos in Lebanon, there is a concern about going home. The second complication is that when they decide they want to go, we still have to get their permits, their access permits from Lebanon, because they have been working there illegally. But that is being worked on. There's at least 112 that our ambassador in Beirut has identified as possibly being repatriated. And there's an initial batch arriving this Friday.
Okay, so this Friday already we will see some Filipinos in Lebanon returning to the Philippines. You mentioned that you needed to fix a lot of their documents. How long does something like that take?
By experience, in a country, for example, like Saudi Arabia, it could take many weeks or even months. But I would like to think, in the case of Lebanon, that they would not want to complicate matters, because they would want foreign nationals to be able to leave in case, they do want to leave because of the rising tensions. Right now, we're still repatriating them through the normal commercial flights, which we are paying for. I mean, we're paying for their tickets, no? But there is the option, in case this escalates to a real big war in Lebanon, there is the option to use sea, so possibly through Cyprus. So that's being discussed with the Lebanese authorities. But I don't want to emphasize the point, because that would imply that we're already anticipating that there definitely will be a war.
Right,
as a diplomat, I will not concede that point. I would like to hope that in the end, peace will prevail.
All right, one last question, sir, before we go, as we are almost out of time. During the United Nations General Assembly, the Philippines abstained from a UN resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian truce in the area. Explain to us why the Philippines voted that way.
Why we abstained, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, abstention does not mean that we rejected the resolution. We wanted to vote for a different resolution, the resolution carrying a Canadian amendment, which would have mentioned that the situation in Gaza right now was precipitated by the attack on Israel. As worded, while the resolution does not actually condemn Israel, it would look like what's happening now was something which was completely caused by the Israelis simply attacking Gaza. And we wanted something which would be more balanced and reflective of the actual situation in the area. Nevertheless, we did read an after vote statement, explanation of vote. That is standard in the UN if you want to explain your vote, wherein we said we support the elements of the resolution, especially about humanitarian assistance, about following international humanitarian law. We were against the loss of civilian lives. We were for the release of hostages and so forth. But for us to have voted for the resolution, which does not even mention that there was an attack on Israel, which killed a lot of people, including 4 Filipinos, would be to dishonor the memory of our own nationals, because we wanted it also reflected. But it does not mean we wanted or we don't support the elements of the resolution.
All right, very clear, sir. Thank you for that explanation, and thank you for being in our program. That was Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. You're watching CNN Philippines.